All right, guys, welcome to Hobson's Choice Harleys. This week's been a banner week here at HDH. Most of you old school bikers know the Knucklehead is the holy grail of anything Harley-Davidson V-twin. So, luckily enough, I was able to find a 1941 FL. So it is the big twin, it's not the EL. Came out of Colorado. So here's my rolling chassis. It is aftermarket, but even at aftermarket, it's 40 or 50 years old. This is an old jammer frame and front end. It's either jammer or early Paco. Paco ended up buying jammer out in the mid 70s. Cool piece, for sure, cool piece. Does have mechanical brakes, old school mechanical brake system. It's got the original ratchet top, 4-speed ratchet top. And you can see these are just the old mechanical drum brake. No master cylinder, no fluid lines, it's just rods, all mechanical rods. Kind of cool. Ain't gonna be the best stopper, but she sure is sexy. So right here, we got the heartbeat. So here's my engine case, original cam cover from 1941. So take into account, guys, most of these parts you're seeing are 83-year-old pieces, and they've been sitting for at least 30 years. And I gotta go through everything painstakingly, lovingly. So here's the right side case. The left side case was grenaded. I'm gonna have to have that replaced. Luckily, I do have clean paperwork for 1941 FL Harley-Davidson. So I just dry fitted this stuff. As you can see, the cam is toast. I am gonna soak it and see what the evaporust will do to it. But other than that, you know, my breather gear is clean. This just runs your generator, it's clean, no teeth broken off on that. Here's your planetary gear that runs your timing, it's clean. I do have the 2 gears that run off the shaft here to run off the oil pump and connects to here. So it might not look pretty, but for 80 years old, it's actually in very good shape. The numbers are clean, the title is clean. It's you know, you just don't find 80-year-old cast iron aluminum engine block or engine cases like that. So we're in the process of cleaning that up. Also, when I got home a couple days ago, and most of the stuff had been sitting around so long that it had rusted. But if you look at the connecting rods, they're just now coming out of the evaporust. Those are more than salvageable. They're gonna be in great shape. Basically everything I could fit in the bucket I did. And all the engine and tranny stuff's all original. So there's my push rod tubes, there's my lifters, solid lifters on these old machines. Ooh, it's cold here. That bucket of sauce is cold stuff. So I got original push rods. Again, I'll hit those with a brass wheel, see how well they clean up. They're nice because they're solid. On the pans and shovels, your push rods are adjustable. On the old knuckles, it's your lifter, so your adjustment is here. You can go either way on them, but it's just kind of cool to have all these original old parts. Not sure what I'm gonna salvage and what I'm gonna replace. Just assorted bolts and springs and stuff. So these are my case bolts that bolt the 2 halves of the engine together. Not sure what we got there. Another push rod. So basically I gotta go through and inventory all this. Here's my primary chain. And if you look at this chain, she looks pretty decent right now. Yesterday she looked like this clutch basket over here. See that rusty old clutch basket? That's what that chain looked like yesterday. So it's amazing what that evaporust will do. After I get everything cleaned up, that'll go into an oil bath to lubricate it. And it's not the end of the world. Those are parts that are easily replaceable. Again, more of the case bolts that bolt the 2 engine cases together. That's your breather bolt. So that not only bolts the 2 engine cases together, it also it's a crank breather to vent the cases so that you don't get too much pressure buildup. So that's kind of a nice part to have. So here is 1/2 of the flywheel. And if you look at that, she's not too bad a shape considering yesterday it actually looked worse than that clutch basket I showed you. It was so nasty and rusty, it was kind of scary. Let's see if we can get the other half out. Oh yeah. So there's the other half. Wow, amazing how well they cleaned up. Just absolutely amazing. So those definitely will run. And if you look, not this side, where is it? Right here, that is the original foundry mark from 1941 on both of these. The heads have it, the cylinders have it. I mean, this is, you know, a lot of work, but a lot of original parts. There's my front sprocket that goes off of that chain. Another lifter. Probably just gonna replace the lifter and cams. And push rod tubes, nothing wrong with those. This is not gonna be a cheap fix. a bike like this, you know, it's going to cost, well, I don't know, several $1,000s to get this thing up and running. But to have an 83-year-old machine that I'll be able to kickstart and go ride on, I'm beyond stoked. So again, we got all these miscellaneous parts, and I'm waiting for my call from the guy Knuckleworks out of California who builds the left-hand blank cases, so that I can get the case out to him so he can mate my right-hand case with the left-hand case, and then I'll stamp the numbers in it because I do have the legal paperwork for everything, and I will have a nice running 41 Knuck. Okay, so that's all the stuff out of the sauce. As we go through some of this, I'll just kind of give you a rundown of what all I got. So this was all in milk crates. It's just funny, is a bunch of it's knuckle, a bunch of it's just assorted. So there's a brand new Zell. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Zell, but that goes way back. Air cleaner. Check that out. I got one of these lights. It is a glass lens. So these are aftermarket, but glass lens ones, boy, they're tough to find. And so far I've only found one. Just oddball stuff. So I do have a Softail shock, one. This is kind of cool. It's just a spring for a master cylinder, but look at the packaging it came out of, the old custom chrome. So that's been in a milk crate for probably 40 plus years. This is another cool thing here. So the primary for the clutch, those are the original Parkerized or CAD screws for that primary cover, which I'll show you in a minute. Just assorted stuff. These actually hold the rear fender. It's got that chopper style rear fender on it. I think the front end's gonna come off and I'm gonna put a different front end. I've got a really clean set of invaders that are going to go on this bike that will match up to the brake assembly. It's gonna be neat. This here is kind of a cool find. This is a J-slot style air cleaner. So one of my last videos I was talking about the Servi-Car having the snorkel air cleaner. This is actually the stock air cleaner it should have. So I've got either options there. These are the old school chrome exhaust gaskets. You don't see those anymore. You put those on your exhaust pipe and they squish and crunch. Old brackets. This was kind of cool and will be used. So I showed you those flywheels that came apart from the factory. Here is a brand new crank pin assembly for V-twin. Never been run. All the bearings are there. So that will help in assembling the motor. Most of a rebuild kit. I've got a jet and the O-rings and the accelerator pump. Not sure what that's for. I think that's for maybe a Kian. I don't know. I've got it. It's just cool. Sorted gaskets, sorted seals. You know, these are for circuit breakers for Shovelhead, the little square circuit breakers. That's to mount them. Just neat stuff. So that's just assorted stuff. As you come over here, there's my original clutch basket for this bike. It's there. I don't know if I'm going to run it. Again, it's going to be one of the next things to go in the vapor rust. Not to mention I've got a few extra plates. You only need five or four, whatever. They alternate. So these plates have fiber on them, and then your steel plates like this go in between. So I'll run them through and see how they clean up. That's pretty easily replaceable. The fiber plates I'm not even going to mess with. There's no way they'll salvage, but it'd be nice to see if this clutch basket comes apart and what shape it's in. Over here are the cylinders. So these are the cylinders for the knuckle. And you guys that are sharp enough are gonna realize these are Panhead cylinders. And at this point, that's what I'm gonna run. It is gonna be a hillbilly knucklehead. The cylinder heads themselves, old school thing that guys did, and I didn't know, I'm learning about knuckleheads, is because knuckle cylinders are hard to find, panheads go a lot easier. What they did here is this bolt pattern on a panhead is different than a pattern on a knucklehead. So what they've done is they've drilled that hole here, plugged the original hole so that you can put any panhead cylinder on these heads. At this point, these are 82 years old. These are factory original with the foundry mark. I am not going to take the chance of welding this out, re-drilling, re-tapping, and trying to put knucklehead cylinders on here. I damage these heads, it's all she wrote. I mean, you can replace them, but they're wanting $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for just one head. And this head's complete. It's got everything there. It's not stripped. The plug hole is good. Look at the valves. They're set and ready. This doesn't have any carbon. So somebody rebuilt these heads. They're ready to run. It's never since it was rebuilt. These have never been on a bike. So that's gonna be a nice setup. Whether I use those heads or not, I'm not sure, or the cylinders or not, I'm not sure. Here's my front head. And again, if you look, they did the same machining. Valves have never had any carbon on them. This one's got a couple broken fins. The rocker box has oxidized quite a bit. So I've already got a full gasket rebuild kit for the whole machine. I'm gonna tear all this stuff apart and see how much I can clean this stuff up with. I can get this aftermarket, but I would prefer to leave the original parts as much as I can. So that's the bottom end. This is the top end. So bottom end is your crankcase, top end is your cylinders and your valves. So basically there's the lower end and the upper end of the bike. Over here, just because he had it, I got a luggage rack that'll fit Panhead, Knucklehead, Shovelhead, it don't matter. Stacks and stacks of gaskets. So these are all Panhead gaskets. Basically the guy I got it from didn't want any of the old stuff. He wasn't gonna use it. I've got a set of 1950 Panhead heads. This one doesn't have valves, but I do have the valves. Another set of Panhead cylinders. The rockers are all here, I have them. This one actually has the valves still in it, and it's still bolted to the jug. So this one hadn't even been unbolted. Those are date coded 1950. So nice set. Half a tree. So here's the primary I was talking about. So I've got this one, which is old school with the diamond. I got this one, it's just a Evo. Then this is the one that was on the bike, it's aftermarket. A lot better shape, kind of a cool, and that's the inner and the outer. I've got several of these inners and a couple different outers. Not sure which one I'm gonna run yet. In fact, the outers I've got are all black with the chrome derbies and the diamond. So I kind of like the black one. We'll see, that's minuscule in the scheme of things. So a lot of this stuff I don't even know about yet. Let's go through the little box. So I've got a random footboard. I've got that set of pipes, which is actually Knucklehead pipes right here. Got an old chopper seat. Brand new chain. I think I got 3 brand new chains that have been sitting in a box for 30 years. But yeah, this is the rest of that Panhead stuff. So all the missing valves, the push rods, the springs, the rockers, I've got all the stuff to make those heads complete. That's a bearing race for the lower end where your crank bearing goes through. Probably hammered, but we'll see. Over here we got another hub, clutch hub with fibers in a lot better shape. That one's a runner for sure. Got a skid plate, some sissy bar mounts, battery box. Check out these cool chopper handlebar risers. So I got a set of straights or a set of pullbacks. Got a actual true Harley popsicle kicker is what they call that. License plate, springer. Okay, we've got a transmission gear there. We've got a Kickstarter gear there. We've got a kickstart case. Yeah, and it's buckled here, so that's a wall hanger. It isn't gonna hold oil. There's another one of those chains I told you about. Brand new throttle cable. Another cable. These are a set of split buckhorn bars. I don't know what those are for. I'll have to go through them. Yeah, so those are internal throttle. So those probably are Panhead, maybe even Knucklehead. They've got your kill switch and your blinker on there, and the throttle is internal, which is kind of cool. There's a shifter for a 45, either a Servi-Car or UV. That's kind of cool. Nice clean set of floorboards. Wow, so these are still in the bubble wrap, custom chrome, and even the custom chrome is ancient. So these have never been on a bike. They're new old stock, which is kind of cool. In fact, my buddy Eric or Stubby up there in the North Cold Country needed a set, and I gave him a beat up set I had, and I felt bad, and now that bike's gone, and look, there's a beautiful set. Check that out, Linkert gasket kit. So my 49 Servi-Car's got a Linkert on it. And it looks like, I'm not gonna dump this out, but yeah, it looks like the complete gasket set for a Linkert carburetor. That's a cool find. Main shaft nut for big twin. So that's your transmission nut, goes on your gear on your transmission, and it's got the seal built into it. That's our Panhead rocker. I have no idea. So there's a strap for a battery. There's push rod tube junk. There's a wrist pin that holds a piston. So in here, I don't know if there's anything motorcycle in here or not. But yeah, that's a Shovelhead rocker cylinder or a rocker shaft. There's a couple push rods that appear to be maybe Panhead. So a lot of this is just junk, but a lot of it could be. You never know what the treasure is down inside there. Another adjustable push rod, some air fittings, drift punch of sorts. Don't know what that is. Oh, that's for a hydraulic lifter, I believe. So I'll go through that a little more detailed when I get to it. This is a fun piece here. I found that. I kind of giggled. So this is straight out of the 60s. This mounts on the bottom of your transmission, and then you can put your mounts back here for your back seat passenger. So if you got a big king and queen seat, you can put that on the back and have some pegs for the back rider. I don't think anybody's gonna be on the back of that knuckle. She's gonna be a beast. Not real road friendly with a rigid frame, no suspension, no front brakes, kind of a one-man machine. So in here, like I had said, I haven't gone through this, but this is all gaskets. That is a tombstone tail light, plastic, but it's new. This is one of the ones I was looking for. So there's another rocker for that Panhead. There's the one I've been looking for. So there's the oil pump body for the Knucklehead, which is what I've been looking for, because I didn't find it. There's a bezel for something. So in this box, kind of some neat stuff. There's a brand new, still in a bubble wrap. This is your Springer top end, very much like what's on that one behind you. It's where your dog bones and handlebars go at the top, behind your headlight. So this is a Paco. Yep, Paco, brand new. Kind of still in original packaging. The packaging is there. There's a couple HD, there's your old school rubber handlebar grips in the pack. There's a petcock, a little wiring diagram. Like I mentioned, gaskets. These are all different gaskets. I've got knucklehead gaskets, panhead gaskets, all kinds of gaskets. Foot pegs, clutch levers. These are head pipes for knucklehead. So I've got 2 of those. So I'm thinking I might get lucky. This might be my head bolts and stuff. So all this stuff was labeled 41 knuckle, but there was a lot of miscellaneous parts that weren't for this machine. So I don't know how many different bolts and assemblies that I'm gonna have to buy to get this machine together. But it looks like there's a bunch of stuff there. So these are the bolts that connect your cylinder up underneath to your head. And I'll have to check those to make sure, but that should be the set to put that those heads together, which is good. There's a lot of that stuff. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to buy all these bolts and nuts. Wow, talk about assorted stuff. I have no idea, man, none. Gotta be for something. If any of that looks familiar, give me a shout. Let me know what it is. More of those old school cool foot pegs with the brackets. We've got another, oh, here's a set of valves. Yeah, so these are stamped HD. So that's a intake, exhaust. So that's a full set of valves. And I don't know, I'll have to look up. It's nice because see how clean they are, even though they've been sitting. Those have never been run. And they're stamped HD LX, and it's got a part number on them, so I can run those and see what those are for. Oh, that appears to be your valve guides. Yeah, so those are some valve guides, which is cool. There's another one. So there's a set of valve guides, more guides. Oh, okay. Okay, so that's pretty much our deal. In here we got just a few odds and ends. Here's another couple, I believe those are case bolts. Yeah, case bolts. So a lot of this stuff is going to have to go right in the sauce over there to de-rust. I've got this whole set of bolts. Let's see what we got here. Oh, look at that. More head bolts. More head bolts. There's my lifter block bolts. I was looking for those. So these are the lifter block bolts. Not sure what those are for. Cool. All that hardware. I was like, oh, where's all the hardware? Those look to be my cylinder nut bolts. Wow, okay. So the more I dig, the more complete the machine comes. There's a lot of stuff to go through. There's my cool chopper fender. That is an original old oil bag. It's all been cleaned out. The tanks are 3.5 gallon aftermarket, but this hadn't had oil since the paint job. And check it out, these have been painted and they still have the tape on where the fuel petcock goes and your vent lines. So these have never had gas on them since whoever was building this bike started with it. Not original speedometer, but it's a cool old speedometer with a cat's eye dash and half the wiring. So, you know, more or less, there's a carburetor with the, so I'm thinking, yeah, that's a Zenith, so that's not true to it. Probably put an S&S on it, but we'll see. So there's a 1941 Knucklehead, guys. Some assembly required, or laughingly, a lot of assembly required. Bounce around a little bit, work on this one, work on the Servi-Car. But I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your comments, your suggestions. So kickstart that like button and stay tuned for the progress on the 41. Thanks, guys. All right, you guys made it to the end. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please kickstart that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, comment what you guys think. Let me know if you have any suggestions for video ideas or topics you guys want covered, and I'll do my best to include those in my next projects. You guys can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Also, don't forget to check out the Beacons link in the description below. See you next time.